Mishka!
Hello.
It's so great to meet you. Finally, my guest today is Mishka Rushdie Momen, who is a young pianist I've known for quite some time because I guess I first found you, Mishka, when you entered the Montreal piano competition. And I was on the screening jury. How long ago was that?
6 years.
Is it that long ago? Oh my God. And I remember you played Schumann.
Oh, I didn't remember that, but
well, I do, because you're Schumann. I think you had to play Bach, and then you played a classical sonata. To be honest, I can't remember whether you played Haydn, Mozart, or Beethoven. I think it was Mozart. And then you played Schumann, and I just fell in love with you.
Oh,
because Schumann, actually, it's funny. Schumann and Janáček are my two favorite composers for the piano.
Yes. Oh, I love them too. They're two of my favorites, and they go so well together. I think they're real kindred spirits.
Yes, absolutely. So how are things you're in London now?
Mm-hmm. Well, they're getting better. We're close to reopening, so I think keeping our fingers crossed that all continues to go well. And
Boris Johnson is saying, what, July the 19th?
That's the day.
And it's my understanding. I mean, look, I'm thousands and thousands of miles away, but what I can kind of make out is that July the 19th, we're opening come hell or high water.
Yeah, it seems that way, although he wouldn't admit it, but I think that's okay.
Mishka is coming to us on April the 3rd of 2022 and to play a recital. Would it be your first concert in Canada?
Yes, it will be. At last, I've been wanting to come to Canada for so long. I can't even describe.
Well, you're coming to the best part of Canada, the West Coast. So
Yes.
It'll be great to have you here. But we want to know more about you. So how old were you when you started playing the piano? Are you the only musician in your family?
Yes, I am. It sort of happened by chance. I was 4, and we had an upright piano in our house because my sister had been learning piano at school, and so I, climb onto the piano and play around, and I was hooked immediately. So we started lessons, and it was just love at first sight.
That's how your sister is how much older than you are?
4 years.
And does she still play?
No, she doesn't, but she loves music.
So at what stage did you realize that music was going to be your life?
Probably right away. I know that I knew when I started at the Purcell School when I was 6, I already knew by then that I was going to be a pianist. And of course, I had no idea of the implications of that or what that meant in any practical sense, but I just sort of knew it inside. That was it.
How did you come to connect with Steven Isserlis and also Sir András Schiff? How did that come about, and when did that come about, and how much of an influence has that had on your career?
Well, I mean, both people have had huge influence on my playing and on my thinking about music, and they sort of both happened by chance. The first time Steven and I played together was in a quintet in Prussia Cove, which of course you know that Steven is the director there, and I had been several times to the classes and then went to open chamber music for the first time, and we played in the quintet there, and then we played in another group in the Kronberg Academy festival, and then we had the chance to play Beethoven F major cello sonata, which is my favorite work by Beethoven for cello and piano. I just will never get tired of it. I couldn't love it anymore, and it was one of the happiest experiences ever to play that with Steven. He had so much joy and love for the piece and his playing, and was really, really wonderful. And then after that, of course, we had the chance to play several recitals together at the Wigmore Hall during the lockdown period. So, I mean, it's a dream to play with Steven because he's just such an extraordinary musician.
Yes.
It
He's
was nice.
actually an extraordinary human being.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
He's not what you would call a cookie cutter human being at all.
No.
He's
not
quite
at all.
remarkable. You know, I've been so very lucky that these incredible people have sort of come into my orbit. And, you know, I'm a great believer, Mishka, that so many things happen by chance. And certainly most of, I would say 90% of what I've done over the past 40 years has just been luck and happenstance.
No, I feel the same way. I feel I've sort of fallen into everything I've done. It was the same with Sir András, who just came to Guildhall, where I was studying at the time, to give a masterclass, and I happened to be asked to play in it, and I played the Mozart A minor sonata, which is, of course, a very unusual work, and it's a work that he loves and plays. Just it's incredible the way he plays Mozart, and when we worked on it, it was like a switch was flicked, and it just began to change my whole way of thinking about music and about my playing, and been very fortunate to work with him several times since then.
Who was your teacher?
In Guildhall?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the wonderful teacher Joan Havel, who's a woman from New Zealand, and before that I studied with Imogen Cooper, who's another great.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, you have a pedigree.
Well, I guess it's really lucky. Yeah, I've been helped. I've been helped a lot.
So, which K number is the Mozart you just did with András?
310, the sonata that we worked on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so difficult to play Mozart, isn't it?
It is. It's extraordinarily difficult because there's just this purity about it.
I think I can't remember oh my goodness, a pianist who carried on playing. I think he gave a recital, Orshovsky, who said that he could play Mozart well until he was 8, and then he couldn't play it well again until he was 80.
Yeah.
And it sort of makes sense.
It does in a way.
I find it very difficult to judge talent if a pianist is playing Liszt and Rachmaninoff, but it's so obvious when you play Mozart or Schubert.
Well, there's nowhere to hide. So.
Those are the two that really dig deep.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, is it difficult to get into Kronberg?
Again, this was something that happened purely by chance because András wanted to set up something for pianists there because formerly Kronberg had been only for string players, and he thought that because chamber music with strings and piano is such an important part of the repertoire, there should also be a program for pianists there, and he was interested in working with pianists there. So it just started. It'll be 3 years now in September.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that. I mean, do you play much chamber music, and do you play with other musicians as well?
I play a lot. I feel completely committed equally to my chamber music playing as to my solo. I think they go really hand in hand, and they really complement each other. In fact, even in the same concert, I think it's nice to mix the two things. I play as much as possible and with many different people, and I love the repertoire. And
do you get a lot of opportunities to do that? Or how does it work? Do you go out and find people, or do you have like-minded musicians that you know, or how?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I think, you meet people at different festivals maybe, or through another musician, and you get to know each other. And for example, Zlatomir, who I'm playing with, and we're doing a tour together.
Yes,
Zlatomir
where did
Fung.
You meet?
Well, we met completely glancingly. We were introduced after a concert that Zlatomir had done in London. Actually, Steven introduced us, and we just talked over dinner a little, and then I came to New York for something a few months later. something, and we just played together for fun, and then we liked it so much, and we had a concert planned in Germany in 2020, which obviously was one of the casualties of COVID lockdown, and and then we planned this tour.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, for both of us, we're making our debuts in many different places like Philadelphia and Boston and Weill and Carnegie.
How many concerts will there be?
6.
And some of them, aren't there some in California?
There's one in Orange County, the first one, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish, so Zlatomir is coming to us the following season.
Yes, I know, yeah. That's great.
So, well, you'll have come to us first. You beat him to it. It's so, there are some wonderful young pianists around, and there are wonderful young violinists and wonderful young cellists. What we need to ensure as we go forward is that there are, the biggest challenge is wonderful young audiences.
Yes.
It's interesting. If you come and play for us here in Vancouver, I would imagine that if you sat at the piano and just looked at our audience, just looked at them, they would look exactly like the Wigmore Hall audience.
Yes, that's nice.
Because the audiences for chamber music and recitals are different than the audiences for symphonic music or opera.
That's so true.
But it's so fascinating to me because of course Wigmore feels like my second home when I go to London. And then there is a series at the 92nd Street Y.
Yes.
In New York, and the audience there is the same as well.
Yes, exactly. I agree. Yeah.
I'd love to know what your view is. I mean, I think generally people come to chamber music a little bit later in life. If they're not music, I'm talking about people who are listeners and people who like music. The chamber music aspect seems to come later on.
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that. And I think there's sometimes a danger of fetishizing the value of youthful audiences. I think it's nice to have older audiences as well, and we should value them. And I think also when people get older, they have more time to go to concerts, and they're able to, because chamber music it's not something you can listen to passively. It requires your attention and your devotion, and I think that's really important, and you have to be ready for that. So I think it's only natural.
Yes. Yeah. It's and it's just the purest, most wonderful form of music, I think. Mishka, so have you got more than one sister?
No, just one sister.
The two of you. And is she in London as well?
She is. She lives very close by, and she has a baby now. She has my little 18-month-old niece who we see.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. And where in London are you?
In North London, Highgate.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Great. You have a flat?
It's in my mother's house, actually.
Oh, great. Have you grown up in it?
No, we've only been here about 10 years. Before that, we were in Bushey, in Hertfordshire, which is where we lived when I went to the Purcell School. We moved there then so that I could go there.
Oh, that's great. So, is your mum delighted with your career?
I think so. I think I'm sure she worries about it as much as any parent of a musician would.
I think mothers are supposed to worry. Isn't that the job of a mother?
Yeah.
You know what? My kids have both been survivors. I mean, I remember in the early years of the VRS, before, there was the net, before computers and everything.
Yeah.
You used to advertise concerts with posters and in the newspapers and so. And I remember I used to go around in the shopping districts with a ladder and sticky tape and posters, and I would drag Daniel along with me so he could hold the ladder steady and hold the sticky tape while I put the posters up on the wall. And he used to get so embarrassed. So they've both been brought up on the inside of the Vancouver Recital Society, you know. And now Sarah is the general manager, and she's the one who controls me, tries to, and controls the spending. And, you know, I keep saying this, I'm, of course, much older than any of the rest of my team. There's 5 of us. I'm like triple their age. And yet, I'm the least conservative and the most adventurous. So they view whenever I say I've had an idea, there's like a thick silence in the room. Anyway, it's wonderful to, you know, we're a really cohesive group and we love working together. And it's so nice, as you will know, to be able to do something you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
We're really looking forward to having you come here. And I think,
me too.
you know, we were talking about concerts without intermissions.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm getting the impression, and this is still early days, that the people who are coming back, who will come back, now, you know, I don't know if that's 59 or 500. I still don't know. But I'm getting we're getting very enthusiastic responses. So I'm thinking, well, you know what? Let's just have an intermission and have a whole concert.
Actually, intermissions are interesting because it's taken me some time to understand their value. Because I love to play without any breaks, especially because when I put a program together, I really want all the pieces to somehow relate to each other and to have some narrative flow that goes through them so that you feel a sense of progression through the program as a whole, not just each piece on its own. So sometimes I think you can feel that more if there's no break. But on the other hand, I think when you're playing a lot of dance repertoire, and the piano repertoire, I think in particular, is very, very rich, and it's so full of great works that one actually needs a break in the middle to digest what you've heard, and to be ready for more, because otherwise I think it can be a bit too much.
I'm not sure that I can tell you with any certainty that I've met lots of musicians who prefer intermission. I mean, András is very vociferous about,
I know.
Not, you know, because he goes on at the fact that, you know, the venues like to make money on their bar sales. And you know what? He's not wrong.
It's not true, but I think there may be more to it than that.
But, you know, the other thing, I mean, you could look at it the other way and say if the venue itself, like Wigmore Hall, you see, Wigmore Hall to me is ideal. From 1,000 million reasons, it's ideal. But it also has a restaurant downstairs. You know, I do like the idea very much of having the ability to offer patrons, which we don't have, a meal with a concert. Because people, you know, people like to talk about the experience they've just had.
It's very natural. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's so much more to it than... And it's that more stuff that has been missing in the past 18 months, right? It's the other stuff around. It's the talking about things, and people who are not necessarily, who actually know one another because they sit in the same neighborhood at the concerts, and they get to know one another, and then they love to discuss what they've just heard or what they're about to hear. And so I think it's all part of the whole experience.
It is. Yeah, I think it'll be so exciting to have this communal feeling with the audience again. When you're streaming, you do have the sense that someone's listening, but it's never the same.
Well, it's as you say too, particularly with chamber music and recitals, there is an intimacy where there's a kind of vibration that goes between the musician on stage and the audience. And the audience, I think, feeds the performer as much as the performer feeds the audience.
Yes. No, the participation is, it goes both ways.
Yes. So when is your next concert?
On the 27th of July, I play in Oxford. It's a socially distanced 2 recital, so we'll repeat the same program twice. I will play, I think it's 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. and one of them will be live streamed, but it'll be with audience, which is great. I'm doing this program that I had this idea to do a program all based around key of C major, although there is a brief foray into C minor for contrast, but I just had this feeling that I wanted to do something really open, and the key was so open and generous and full of promise, and it felt so right coming out of the pandemic. So I hope, starting with the very first Bach Prelude and Fugue, and playing the Schumann impromptus on a theme by Clara, which is it was a real jewel, very rarely played work from Opus 5, which he then revised in 1850 and changed a lot. I think it's really remarkable. And then I'll finish with the Wanderer Fantasy.
Oh, great. That's a huge work. Do you play the Schumann Fantasy too?
Not yet. It's high on my list, as is everything. The piano repertoire is just so big. I can never quite manage all the things.
It's interesting. And as far as Schumann is concerned, one of my dreams, every recital András has ever played for us has been one of my dream recitals.
Yeah.
But I remember a recital he played, 23 years ago or so, was Schumann and Janacek.
Yes.
And I just love them together. And he played David's Bundletanzer.
Yeah.
And that isn't played all that often. He also has played the symphonic etudes. And the other thing that we've only had, I think, twice in 40 years is Faschingsschwank aus Wien.
I was just talking about that with somebody. That's a very complicated piece. I think it's very difficult to make it convincing. I used to play it. It's wonderful, but Schumann doesn't give away his secrets very easily, I think, particularly in that piece.
Absolutely not. Yeah. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So after Oxford, what's next?
I'll play the same program in Yorkshire and Rydale, and then I play in London at the Fidelio Cafe, which I think Steven told you about.
Yes.
Yeah, with an English cellist called Guy Johnston, who's a wonderful player. And then I go to Maritzburg in Germany for a chamber music festival, and we're doing a little tour with Beethoven Triple Concerto, which is going to be really nice. I've never done that before.
That's great. And then when do you come to America?
Beginning of October.
And have you got your visa already?
No, not yet. It's difficult because you need this thing called a national interest exemption, because visas are still banned at the moment for foreign citizens. But if you can prove that your trip is in the national interest, then they might give you one.
So what are you going to do? Now, do you get help with your visa? Who's going to?
Zlatomir's agent at Kirschbaum is helping with that.
Oh, good. Is that Jason? Oh, no, it's probably Perry Perry's gone.
It's Perry, yeah. She said that it's slightly awkward, the timing, because the exemption is only valid for 30 days once it's granted. So you can't apply too early and you can't apply too late, and you have to somehow guess at the timing. I mean,
Canada, thank God, is a lot easier. And it will, if you've had the right vaccinations and of course, we're talking about now. or September or October. Who knows how it's going to be in,
Exactly. Yeah.
so we just take it each sort of 2 months at a time. Listen, I can't wait to have you here in Vancouver. And as I said, give yourself a few days to become acclimatized.
Yes.
And you'll be here at a very beautiful time of the year.
Oh, great.
So we'll take some drives and you can practice and you can treat it as a real working holiday.
That'll be great. I'm so looking forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.